Okay, in this podcast we're going to talk about the slope of a line. Slope of a line. And the slope is just, it's the measure of the steepness of a line. Measure of the steepness. of a line. Okay? So let's draw a line over here. Let's do that. Let's put in my tick marks. Okay? And now let's say we draw a line through these 2 points. Let's see if I can do this nice and straight. Do one that way. Okay? Yeah, I want to measure the steepness of this line. And so what we do is we measure, we say the slope is m. So slope is m. Let me say slope first. Slope equals m, which equals the rise over the run. Okay? We'll do the rise here in red. So let's go from one point to another point. Let's say from these 2 points here, to go from that point we see there to this point, I have to, my rise is right here. So the rise is 2. Okay? We'll look at the run here in green. Here we go, over 1. Okay? So to get from this point to this point, we rise 2 and run 1. Okay? So we get that our slope is rise over run, which equals 2 over 1. Which equals 2. Cool? So let's look at another one. Put in my tick marks here. Okay, and now let's go from, let's say, this point here to that point. And draw a nice straight line. This way as well. Okay, and so I want to find the slope of this line. So we want to find our slope is m equals rise over run. Okay, again let's look at the rise in red here. So we see that to get from this point to that point, we actually, our rise is actually, we have to go down. That looks like down 1, 2, 3. Okay, and horizontally we have to go to the right. We have to run. We have to run 2. So I get that my slope m equals rise over run. Now the fact that I had to go down makes this a -3. -3 over 2. Okay, and that slope we're decreasing from left to right, that's always going to give me a negative slope. If we go back to the other one, when I was increasing from left to right, this gave me a positive slope. That's why I got the slope of 2. Anytime you're decreasing from left to right and you get a slope that's not negative, you need to recheck your work because you've done something that's incorrect. We know that this has a negative slope just by looking at it right off the bat. So I want to do one more thing on this video. Continuous slope. So let's say we were just given 2 points. So given that, let's say 2/3 and 5, -1 lie on a line, find the line slope. Okay, so we know that our slope m equals rise over run. That rise, that is the change in y. So that our y coordinates what tells us how we rise, and the run is the change in x. So we can get that our slope is slope m equals given any points x1, y1, and x2, y2. Oops, hold on. x2, y2. We can get the slope is the change in the y coordinates, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So we have our points here is 2/3 and 5, -1. So we get that m equals y2, which is going to be a -1, minus y1, which is 3, divided by x2. So that x2 has to match that y2. So I got my y2 from -1 here, so my x2 has to be 5. 5 minus x1, which is 2. And we get the m equals -1 minus 3 is going to be a -4, all divided by 3, -4/3. Okay, and let's make sure, let's go the other way. Let's call y2, this time let's say m equals y2 minus y1. Instead of -1 for y2, let's call this 3y2. So it's going to be 3 minus -1 divided by, now since I called 3 y2, I got to call 2 my x2. So over 2 minus 5. No. So that's going to equal 3 minus a negative. It's going to be 3 plus 1 over 2 minus 5 is going to be a -3. And we get 3 plus 1 is 4 over -3, which equals a -4/3. So my point here is it doesn't matter which one you call y2 or x2, they have to match up. If I call the 3 my y2, then I have to call my 2 the x2. Or if I call 1 y2, I have to call my 5 x2. Okay? And that's going to conclude this introduction to slope.